It's always been about songwriting for me. It's always been about 3 chords and the truth, the storytelling and the integrity of like the vulnerability. You go through this artistic development of like, okay, what is my sound? What's my persona? How do I dress? It has to be kind of bigger than life. That's what artist you is. Hey, I'm Dasha, and this is how I blew up.
You won a poetry contest when you were 8 years old?
Help, yes I did. It was called Life is in My Heart. This is the time in my life, I kid you not, that I was convinced that I was a fairy. I thought I was the moon fairy. I don't know where the I got this idea from, but I was like, I am her, she is me. And I was just like, life is in my heart. And I wrote this really dramatic poem that kind of slayed, and I won this like nationwide competition for it. And that's what like songwriting is. It's what lyric writing is. When I won that competition was when I was like, wait, girl, you can kind of maybe do this. I went to this very strange high school. I went to San Luis Obispo High School. Usually the musical theater kids and the theater kids are like the losers. For some reason, they were like the popular kids, and the football players were like, yikes. So me and my homies were in musical theater, and a lot of us were in improv troupe. Once a month during lunchtime, we'd open the theater up and we'd play all these improv games, and people would rush in, literally sprint from their classes to come get a seat. We had a really small, like 150 person auditorium. I mean, I feel like I'm good in front of crowds, but also I was so bad at impressions. Like, I cannot do accents, I cannot do impressions, and so they'd always have me doing like the accented characters and stuff, just cause it was like, let's laugh at Dasha because she can't do it. So, and I'm like, sure, sign me up. If it makes people laugh, it makes me happy. COVID hit halfway through my sophomore year at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. And I kind of used that as an excuse to go home, back to California. I mean, we got kicked off campus, so like we literally weren't allowed to stay. And I was a songwriting major. I already had like the natural instinct for songwriting, but I got to learn like the analytical and the technical side of songwriting. So we'd break down the top 40 and like, why is this song #1 on the radio right now? Why does this hook pay off so well? I love math too. I was a mathlete in high school, fun fact. I love the analytical side of shit sometimes. And so it's so fascinating learning that side of songwriting. I digress, but I'm not gonna learn about songwriting online during a Zoom class. Like, I'm gonna drop out and just start doing sessions in the real world. And that's also when I started posting my songs on TikTok. And I got my first management deal, started doing sessions every single day of COVID. So I'll take you back to January 2023. I just dropped my full-length pop album, Dirty Blonde. It was 17 songs. I worked on it for 2 years. I remember I played the album release party at Moroccan Lounge in LA, and I remember going home that night being like, this is not me. I felt almost like icky, and I was like, I'm going back to my roots. I'm going back to country music, because it's always been about songwriting for me. It's always been about 3 chords and the truth, the storytelling and the integrity of like, the vulnerability. There's always been something about country music that I've loved. It's like the first genre I ever fell in love with. And my friends thought I was crazy because I already had a pretty good following in the pop world. I'd already made kind of a name for myself, but I didn't care because it just wasn't me. And I just didn't want to keep making music if it didn't feel like me anymore. And I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna write a country album. That's what I'm gonna do. I wrote the album over the span of like 5-ish months, and in May, I texted Travis, who produced Austin. I was pissed off because I was getting finessed by this guy back in Nashville. It had been like a 2-year situationship, and so we get into the session. I kind of wanted like another slow song for the album, and so we go on, and I had this idea called Play Dumb about knowing you're getting cheated on, but you know, you play dumb so you can stay in it longer. And we like wrote the verse and chorus, and I was like, guys, I'm gonna be honest. No. So take 5, hanging outside. And I was like, I want to write my scorned woman song. I've gotten played dirty. I don't feel like myself because, you know, I let my standards go down so much. I was almost mad at myself for like letting him treat me this way. The first thing, I have a voice memo of it still. The first thing that came out of my mouth was the melody and hook. Did your boots stop working? Did your truck break down? And I didn't think anything of it. I was just kind of riffing. And then I think it was Travis, the producer. He's like, what did you just say? Play it back. And I was like, okay. And it was like, did your boots stop working? What is that? And I was like, I don't know. It just, I don't know. It just happened. And he's like, that's really cool. And so we wrote the song, and the melody is what hooked me in that song first. I was like, that's the catchiest melody I've ever written in my entire life. It was the first moment that I've really felt like I have a hit on my hands, and I fully believed it with my gut. I'm like, I have a hit. I was like, I felt like a crazy person because I knew it so deeply in my soul. I'm like, this is just gonna do something. And everyone was like, okay, you're switching genres, no one's on your team? Good luck, like, I guess. And then, I mean, a year later, it's crazy what can happen. I literally woke up one morning, I was living in LA for the past 2.5 years, and I had this weird gut feeling of like, I need to move back to Nashville. I knew that I was ready for country music to be my new home. I've always just admired the country industry and the people in it so much because it feels like a family, but I'd never really been in that family yet, accepted into it, you know? Because I didn't make country music at that point. I'd written it, but like never fully committed. And so a month later, I moved to Nashville. That's when the OG team, as I say, kind of came into place. My publicist, Avery King, and Ben Farber and Josh Eppel from V3, which is like this independent label, heard Austin, heard all my songs, and we just had this little mini team of 6 people being like, let's blow this thing up. We all believed in the song so much. It was 6 of us, you know, in a room in February. The album was about to come out. I put my marketing hat on. I'm like, how can we blow this up? How can we get people to want to make a video with my song? How can I interact with people, build community around my music? And the obvious answer was dance, because I grew up dancing, 15 years of ballet, just strategizing about like, how can we blow this song up, and like, what's the idea, and what's the dance, and like, how do we reach out to influencers so they can do it? There was no label behind us. I poured my entire savings into the album because I couldn't find an investor that wanted to help me pay for the production of my album. Like, I straight up took all my savings out. $15,000, all my savings out, and I said, you know, honestly, my advice to artists to get to that point is like, trust the process. Don't rush your artistic development. Because if I would have taken my savings out and risked it all 2 years ago when I was making that first album of mine, it wouldn't have gone. It wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right music. I hadn't found myself in my music yet. And I think deep down I knew that. But that's okay, you know? Because it's all gonna happen in due time if it's meant to happen. There's literally no rush. And also, like, my success doesn't affect any other artist's success. Like, everyone has their own path. It's not a competition at all. I got this, okay. There's this guy named Dr. De Palma early in my life. He was like this opera teacher of mine. Literally took Vakai from him. Like, Manca soy lecita. Like, straight up Italian opera. Side note, weird side quest of my life for a second. He drew this diagram, okay? And this is the trend of music, okay? This is popular music. It keeps going up, keeps changing. A lot of artists go like this. Oh, pop rock is in? Let's try to do that. And maybe they'll get a small little hit, and maybe they'll keep trying to go, and it's like, it's not gonna work. You gotta do your own shit, and then eventually it will line up, and then it'll explode. And I feel like that's what Austin was for me, because all of a sudden, country music was cool. Just the stars aligned in the most insane way possible. At first, when that started happening, I almost didn't want to believe it because I was scared it was gonna go away. You know, maybe I'd have a viral TikTok song, but like, that's not the point of this, you know? That was straight up a marketing idea. I think at first I was really nervous that it wasn't gonna keep going. People would text me and be like, oh my God, your song's everywhere. Every time I scroll, it's your dance. And I was like, sick. Like, I don't know, you know? But at the beginning, I was almost like closed off because I was so scared it wasn't gonna happen. And then, you know, Jimmy Kimmel hits us up and asked me to be on the Late Show, and that was the first like big kind of pop culture moment. And then, you know, the CMTs asked me to perform Austin on the show. I get out of the car, about to walk the red carpet. It's my first red carpet ever, and I'm wearing this floor-length cheetah dress, feeling myself. And it was like the first big event I'd been invited to. There's something about when I hopped out and got on that carpet, I just felt this like, I'm gonna sound like a hippie right now. I felt this like extraterrestrial, almost like energy kind of zapped through me of like, you're on, you're ready for this. Like star power kind of hit me. And like I remember walking the carpet and being like, I don't even recognize myself right now. Like this is artist Dasha has finally like found herself. That was the first time I was like, oh, I deserve to be here. And that's the first time like I'd ever admitted that to myself because I was so scared of it going away. But I'm like, we're playing an award show today. Like this is insane. I still can't believe that happened so early. I'll just look at myself sometimes and be like, if she knew, little Dasha as a kid, this is all I've ever wanted in my life. Oh God, don't cry. And it's just like really, it's so weird to like actually have it happen. I don't know, I'm just really proud of myself. That's it. I'm just happy.